Ibashe Oludumare, Ibashe Owumila, Ibashe Awo Akoda, Ibashe Asheda, Ibashe Ejubona Mefa, Ibashe Agbongbon, Oba Ile Ife, Ibashe Adabalotu Ife, Ibashe Olokun, Ibashe Olasa, Ibashe Aje Ogun, Oloso Olamba Aye, Ibashe Ita Meridinoko, Ibashe Olunoko, Ibashe Okunoko, Ibashe Okipi Awoko, Ibashe Oguni Male Eliju, Ibashe Babas, Ibashe Yeyes, Ibashe Ori, Ibashe Tototo, Oludumare Emojuba. Kiba me eshi Olunjuba. Ashe.
But the true essence of magical or occult phenomena is the creation of an ego, the creation of an identity, but an identity that will hold and maintain through lifetimes. The all in all is a spiritual and unseen subcontext that lies beneath all of reality. That is the all. And that within itself is mental. The greatest thing you can do in this moment is to be aware that these events are happening and to start digging into your creative mind as to where you can begin to assist. So these are not theories and thoughts and ideas that have been developed within me overnight, nor are they theories, thoughts, and ideas that have been developed inside of a vacuum, but they've been tried as though the real current out of the desert of the mind. Because your mind can only perceive what is real, but you have yet to actually fully. So if the universe is mental, then can the universe learn something? Certainly.
Hey, peace everyone. This is Yuya Assaan-ANU, chief conductor of this experience that we call Foundational Fridays on Enlightenment and Transformation, head instructor of the Sadulu House Spiritual Center, and Chief Jegna of the ANU Spiritual Order, and loving every minute of it, even the parts I don't enjoy. So, we're here again with another episode, and as in traditional fashion, as I've done even last year, where I shared some segment of what was done before. What was done before this Saturday, which was the 27th of September, was again the Pagan Pride Festival. And I was able to do a workshop there. And, because we're in the flow here, we're in the flow of where the energy is and where the power is. The spirits were benevolent, and we had a very productive workshop, and people were really, 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 really thankful. So I'm thankful, because the more appreciation and gratitude that comes forth, the more I give. The more I give, the more I get. It's a stimulation of a process. The more authentically grateful you are for something, the more you'll get of that thing and things like it. So yeah, it was a good event. And in this episode, I'm actually going to share some of the audio, not all of it, but some of the audio from that event, and hopefully maybe you'll be able to be transported there for just a moment and to feel as if you were a part of that moment. And many of you were there in spirit. Always know that. Those of you who are a part of this movement that we call the ANU Order, that we also call the ANU Nation, that we also call the Sadulu House. There are many a part of this. We haven't even gotten into the musical component, and the people who are working hand in hand with that aspect and sharing ideas back and forth, so forth, so on, and on and on and on. So I always bring you with me. You're never far from me. I want you to always know that. But it was a good event. I was thankful for it. And there are people who came out who listened to the show, and I find this repeated scenario with people who come out. A lot of times people who come out to events, I'll have at least 3 to 4 people there who will say, I just started listening to you a couple of days ago, or maybe like 10 or 15 days ago. So, and I looked up, and all of a sudden I found out you were going to be in my town. So it's always so interesting the way spirit orchestrates things, and that's why you have to kind of be in the moment and really literally just be in the moment, because the moment is right when things happen. That's when you have not only your flashes of insight, but your flashes of orchestration. And of course the orchestration is, we're building up to it. Even in this moment, we're building up to that orchestration. But I always find that interesting when I'm doing an event and someone tells me that, I've been, I have people who say I've been listening for a year or 2 years, 3 years, but there's always somebody who just started listening a day or two ago and then just saw a flyer, and it's all this coincidence. They're like, I gotta go there. So, it was good. There was, of course, people there like that. And when you're doing an event like the Pagan Pride, of course, like many other events, I'm usually only a Orisha person there. I think one year there may have been one other person. But, so being there and providing that experience to people, I think is very valuable. Going into places where they're not. That really takes us out of the realm of church. Sometimes we just want to go from house to house, from church to church, and we got to go out to where the people are at. So again, it was a good event, and I'm thankful. So I'm going to play some audio from that event, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And even if you don't, listen anyway. I bet you get something out of it. But before we do that, I'm going to go into our announcements, and then I'll come back with that audio. Here we go. First Sunday in October, which is next strong. This is October 6th at 11 a.m. We'll be doing a 2-hour session starting this Sunday, and it will be every Sunday, by the name of Chief Speaks. Chief Speaks, that's on the High Frequency Radio Network, which we will also be broadcasting simultaneously on Enlightenment and Transformation. Be sure to tune in to Chief Speaks on High Frequency Network Radio with Yusef L, and you can also tune in here at Enlightenment and Transformation. We are also putting out a call for creative talent, and this is for video editors or music artists, either one. If you are a video editor or a musical artist and you would like to contribute your talents to the ANU order, please send an email to anunation@gmail.com. That's ANUNATION@gmail.com. Be sure to include samples or at least links of your work. Starting October 1st, the terms of service for Eye of Haru, spiritual services and consultations will go into full effect. We again encourage anyone who is scheduling a reading, meeting, appointment, or consultation that they review our terms of service. They can be found on a link. When you go to schedule your appointment, you will be asked to agree to the terms of service, and at that moment you will have a link that you can click on and you can read through them. They not only give you our terms, but they give you the proper advice for how to maximize and get the most out of your consultation and your reading experience. So I encourage all of you to look at the terms of service. Be sure to tune in every Monday to Masterminds Monday, as well as on Sundays for our new Asafo. They are extensions of the work that is going on with this show, as is Thunderground Thursdays. Each show has its own personality, has its own character, and has its own intention, although they all work for the collective mission of the ANU Spiritual Order, which is community rearing and individual rebalancing. So be sure to tune in to those segments. On a quick note, SaduluHouse.com is in the process of taking full control of its classes and removing them from Udemy. All current accounts will be moved to SaduluHouse.com. For those of you interested in classes, go to SaduluHouse.com for more information. That has been our announcements.
What do we know about sacrifice? Anyone? It's honoring God. Okay. Because I saw somebody was hiding and trying to... I see everything. Okay. It's honoring God.
Yeah, I was saying something that you give of yourself or of something else in order to have something else come.
Right. Something that you give in order to have something else come. Okay. So a sacrifice, when we're dealing with sacrifice and ritual, we're really dealing with the science of push and pull. Okay. A sacrifice is something that we do to push something. Ritual is something that we do to pull something. Okay? Push, pull. Now, I'm going to turn that down a little bit. So, push and pull is really how the universe works. Of course, when we're dealing with push and pull, we're dealing with male and female. Okay? So, male or female push being a positive attribute and pull being a negative attribute. When I say positive and negative, I don't mean from a moralistic perspective. I'm speaking chemistry. So, positive meaning electric. Negative meaning magnetic. Okay? Positive, electric, negative, magnetic. Male, electric, female, magnetic. So we're talking about electromagnetism. So sacrifice and ritual is a process of tapping into the electromagnetic fields of the cosmos. It has nothing to do with your love for the entities in the cosmos. And it has nothing to do with their love for you. It has to do with you standing as a scientist. That's all. We all have the capacity, the human capacity, to function as scientists and to function as recreators of our reality. And one of the ways we do that is through sacrifice and ritual. So let's get back to it. What's a ritual or what's a rite? We had the pagan pride. Somebody knows.
I mean, a ritual is something like, I mean, you may get up and brush your teeth in the morning, and then after that, you know, something else before you get ready to go to work. That's every day. That's a simple ritual.
Exactly. Good. Now, would it be the same? He said it like brushing your teeth in the morning would be considered a simple ritual. Would that be the same thing if it was something that we did unconsciously? Would we still call it a ritual? Okay.
I would say no, because I think a ritual is like more of an intentional type of thing.
Okay, good. So we got some push and pull. That's how the push and pull of disagreement is what gives rise to truth. That's why when you go to Egypt, you go to Kemet, some of the formulas that were on the temples are actually wrong. And they knew they were wrong when they put them there. Because people would come from other regions with other ideas and they would, hey man, just put it there, it's okay. Okay? So I'm going to say this. You know, I'm going to be the truth in the middle. Certainly it can become a ritual if it's unconscious. But certainly we want to tap more into conscious ritual. Because when you brush your teeth, it's conscious. And what you're conscious of is my teeth will be clean when I'm done. However, you don't see them clean. You've already created a mental image that my teeth will be clean when I'm done brushing them. Okay, so through ritual, what you're actually doing is pulling something from the unseen and bringing it to the seen. That's what a rite is. And in order to pull something from the unseen and bring it to the seen, the three-dimensional reality, you first must function as one who has authority in that place. You have to have authority there or your ritual won't work. So whenever you're doing a ritual, let's say if you do a ritual to one of our entities in our tradition, his name is... We'll say Olokun. Olokun means the owner of the seas. Okay? And Olokun would be likened to, there she is, would be likened to Poseidon or Neptune or any of the major water archetypes. Okay? Olokun also governs the realm of space. This here is Olokun. So a lot of times people say Olokun, they think it's just water. It's actually not water. Olokun deals with the energy of the subconscious mind, your demons, but more importantly, he governs space. He's right here. Okay? So, you may do a ritual to Olokun, but in fact, for the ritual to work that you do to Olokun, you must first be Olokun. You cannot do a ritual to any entity that you are not. That's the interesting thing about rituals. They don't tell you that part. So in effect, if I do a ritual to Olokun, Olokun is just going through his traditional motions. That's all. Okay? we all understand, I bet a lot of us understand, that we exist on different planes at the same time, okay? Because right now we're sitting here, we're having this verbal conversation, but at the same time there's a spiritual conversation that's going on. And some of this probably with crisscrossing and, hey, I haven't seen you since the beginning of time, and all that's going on, while at the same time I'm speaking. And while I'm speaking, I'm also navigating my energy over there too. I'm trying to see what's going on over there. So there's multiple things going on at the same time. So when you do a ritual, you embody yourself that exists on another plane. Okay? You're not necessarily doing a bunch of movements that will bring an energy because the energy is there. You're basically invoking. Invoking meaning to bring it forth from you. Okay? Now, to sacrifice something just means to make it sacred. That's all. That's all sacrifice means. So, right now, the ground I'm standing on is sacred. Okay? This ground is sacred. Until I do this. Now it's not. Okay? Because this piece of ground right here that I'm standing on is serving one purpose. It's devoted itself to keeping me sustained and for allowing me to pull energy from down here. Okay? Now that's a sacrifice for this ground because it has to do something that it doesn't normally do. Okay? So that's a sacrifice. Nothing got killed. Okay? It's no blood. It's alright. It's still there. It'll grow. Okay? So you don't have to kill something to sacrifice it. You just have to commit it to the ether or to a celestial act. You make it sacred. Okay? That's a common misconception when we deal with African sciences. People automatically think that we're killing people and we're killing animals. That happens more here than anywhere else. Okay? They just call it different things. You know. So you have that sacrificial energy, but then you have the ritual energy. Okay? And ritual is something that is not foreign to this landscape. This is something that even American culture was always very high in ritual. That's why you have stores like Rite Aid. And originally you would go to Rite Aid to get aid for your rituals. That's how that store was created. This is not even secret conspiracy information. You can find this out. Okay, just in case you think it. Just like they used to sell cocaine. Right. You know about that one. You know. Hey, tell on yourself. Okay. Little nose candy going on. So now we understand the push and pull of sacrifice and ritual. Why would we use either one? Okay? And what are some of the components that we would use? When we want to do a rite, we typically will use things that create heat, that create fire in our tradition. Okay? That bring life. Okay? One of the things that we use for rites that are very effective is blood. Menstrual blood. Semen. Urine. Okay? All of these things have blood in them. And because what we're doing with the rite, remember, we're trying to give birth to something. Something that exists in the ethers that is continually going on. We're trying to step into that flow of that movement. So let's say right now we have three deities that are above us. And those three deities are doing an eternal dance. And let's say that dance brings balance of mind. Okay? So what we may do is we may recreate those movements as a part of a ritual so that we can pull down that force or that cognition of mind balance. Okay? But it's already happening. It's happening right now as I'm speaking. In fact, what we're doing right now is a ritual. This is a ritual. Because on this ground here, in Washita Square Park, these same events used to happen. This was a spiritual meeting ground for the people who are native to this culture. So when we join and we come here, we think we're coming here because we have nothing to do this Saturday, and not realize that we're actually being orchestrated and manipulated by celestial forces to repeat a motion, a movement. There always has to be ritual here. People will always get high here. There's a lot of parks you can go to get high at. Why do they keep coming here? There's cops and cameras all over the place. We have to get high here. Okay? Well, you guys have to. I don't do drugs. But you all have to get high in this space. You're repeating a ritual. Okay? Now, when we're performing sacrifice, what we typically use are cooler energies. Okay? One of the things that we use in this tradition is a material known as efun. And efun is a white chalk that we use. And a lot of times, if you ever get an opportunity to look at any African history and look at like any of the funerary rites, you'll see that the people usually have white on. And they'll even maybe have white, it looks like chalk all over their skin. Okay, what they're doing is they're taking themselves from this dimension, which we call Aye, or the earth's crush, and they're transporting their consciousness to Orun, which you would call the fifth dimension, or heaven. Okay, now, does the white chalk specifically do that? No, but what it does is it fires off synapses in the brain that tells the spirit in the auric body, I need you to carry my consciousness somewhere else. But it's always taking it from here away from here. Okay? You don't do that with blood. Blood brings things from there to here. Okay? Very important. Because blood is life. But within blood, you have carriers. We have melanin. That's really what we're tapping into in the blood. We're tapping into melanin. Okay? And melanin acts as a carrier. But it carries things from the unseen to the seen. Okay? It's a sleep drug. If anybody gets a moment to watch the movie Inception, they covered this. The drug that, I don't know if you saw the scene where he was like, we have this substance and we'll make him go deeper into the level of the dream. And he was like, watch, he smacks the daylights out of the guy. He's not even waking up. You see? Because melanin will put you to sleep. Okay? So, we have different components that we'll use, and a lot of times when we're doing different rituals, a sacrifice will call for an animal. Straight out. Why? Make the blood sacred? Okay, that's one.
Well, I mean, isn't there...
You can't answer. No, you. I'm talking about her.
Oh.
You out of it. Yeah.
Isn't there like a relationship between certain animals and certain entities, so that by sacrificing a certain entity, you're trying to pull that
exactly.
Entity, trying to pull that certain entity there?
Now, he said there's a relationship between certain animals and certain entities, right? Now, the entity is you, though. Remember? So when you're sacrificing an animal, in effect, you're sacrificing an aspect of yourself. So if I was to sacrifice a cow, what might a cow represent? Does anybody know any archetypes that are directly related to the cow? Okay, in Kemetic structure, we had Het Haru. Put your hand down. She's a vet. She can't answer questions. Het Haru. Het Haru is the archetype that governs not only the Milky Way, but that governs the congregation of the world, bringing things together. Okay? Because we all have a central point, and that central point is what? Our mother's lap. Okay? As signified by the cow. Everyone who's human, who comes to a place of social consciousness, has to suckle from the teat of their mother. Okay? The scientists have even studied this one. They find that children who don't breastfeed have trouble socializing. Okay? So, you might be called to sacrifice a cow. But in fact, what you're doing is you're being told to look at your ability of socialization, your ability to join forces with individuals, your thoughts of nationalism, your thoughts of democracy, your thoughts of nurturing. So there's so many different things which you want to look at as a symbolization of the animal. For instance, sometimes you may be called, the common thing we know in Africa is the chickens. Right? We're going to sacrifice a chicken. Okay, what would a chicken represent? All you got to look at is, what do chickens do? Start there. Sustenance. What else? Anybody ever looked at a chicken? You ever seen a chicken? Live chicken? What do? Say it again. They scratch the ground. That's the only important thing they do. Everything else is just chicken stuff. They scratch the ground, meaning they are reminding you to always go beneath the surface. In our creation story, in the Yoruba creation story, there was a hen that was dropped to the planet. Well, dropped. And what the hen did was it scraped the ground, and when it scraped the ground, it separated the firmament. So it created mounds of civilization. Okay? Now that's the fantasy for you. We like fantasy, right? What did it mean? The chicken represented the profundity that was brought to the world. Now we can have profound experiences. We can dig beneath the surface. Also, when you're scratching something, what are you doing? You're creating friction, heat. Okay? We spoke about what heat would represent. Now, when things cool down after they heat up, what happens? They change. Right, because organisms grow from the cooling effect. Okay, when you heat particles up and then they cool back down, new organisms grow from that process. So when the chicken was scratching, it was actually creating life. Not the chicken, I'm sorry, the five-toed hen, which was signified by Het Heru or Oshun, our deity of sexuality. So dropping that hen on the planet was the cosmos releasing the concept of sex onto the planet. You see? So you may say, oh, but the sacrifice called for a hen. It might have called for you to have some sex. Sometimes it's that simple. You know, everyone smiles on that one. But what if it was a rooster and it's saying that you're too cocky and too arrogant? No smiles, huh? Little? Not really? Right. Nobody wants to hear that one. So there's different things that will be called for via sacrifice that will represent different things. Nut. Okay, so for instance, he has Nut on the back of his, no, here. Nut. If you didn't know. That's Nut. What is she doing? You never should take things if you don't know what they mean. She's sustaining the night sky. Okay? Nut is one of our primordial mothers. I'm going to give it back. I just want everybody to be able to see. She's one of the primordial mothers. Okay? And Nut is an archetype in our system. We would call her Yemoja. If not Yemoja, even earlier than that, it would be Nan Nan Baruku. But that's a whole nother story. So, basically what she represents, what are the stars? What did Aleister Crowley say about stars? Everybody's a star. Okay? Sly and the Family Stone said it better. But Aleister Crowley also said it. Okay? So now we know that everybody is a star. If she has stars inside of her body and she's holding up the night sky, what is she doing? She's holding the stars up, but she's also connecting them. But is everybody a reflection of the sun? That's what stars are reflecting. Is everybody reflecting sunlight? No. Many people are not, right? The darkness in between. Are stars right next to each other? Thousands of miles apart, correct? Nut is who we're talking about. So when you get on the net and you listen to my shows, especially for those of you living in all the way down the East Coast or further down the East Coast and with thousands of miles apart, what's happening here? You're connected by what? The net. Nut. See how they keep coming back? They force their rituals upon us. So you're thinking, oh, nobody talks about Nut anymore. And she says, of course you don't talk about me anymore. So I'm going to make you feed me again. Watch this. I know the science of transmutation. I'll become the net. Okay? Or what we also call the web. Okay, in Ghanaian structure, we have an archetype known as Anansi. Anansi the spider. Okay? And the web that Anansi casts holds all the special people and it levitates them all. Okay? And at the center of that web is said to be the soul of the world. And everything goes out from there. So Anansi the spider is like I don't think we have an equivalent here. I almost want to say Curious George, but no, we don't have an equivalent here. Bear rabbit. Yeah, exactly. So Anansi the spider, and in Yoruba we have Ijapa, the turtle. But these stories, which are children's stories, which create the mind of the people, get the people now accustomed to ritual and to certain movements and to certain dances. And what they're doing is they're repeating the highest ideas of the heaven. That is the science of ritual and sacrifice. So every time you go on the internet to find information or to connect with another star, you're actually giving an offering to Nut. she feeds from that. Okay? So it's not always your sacrifices or I'm pouring something out or I'm lighting something. It's your movements that feed these archetypes. Okay? Whenever a porno is created, Oshun feeds. Porno. I know, sounds crazy, right? It's called transmutation. Because we would never think that an archetype will be involved in something like the porno industry, right? People consensually having sex with each other for money. We would never think that. But didn't we say earlier that these entities not only exist within us, so as we corrupt, okay, they corrupt. They are dependent on our movement and our virtue in order to maintain their evolutionary force. But it's okay. They don't mind corrupting because through their corrupting, they get to experience new things. Right. It would be more the latter. If I do a new ritual, it can be a wasted ritual, but in fact, because we itemize our spiritual awareness so much, there's nothing that exists on the world that we're not a part of. But it's more, you can't do a ritual if you're not aware that you are that entity. So that was probably a better way for me to put it. You are actually all the entities, good and bad. You're all of them. And I use good and bad parenthetically, really what I should say, negative and positive. Because we're just talking about, again, push and pull. You're all of them. So, of course, you're Satan. And you know you're Lucifer. That one's the easy one. Right? Come on. You were light. Lucifer means light. You fell to the darkness of your body so that you can be redeemed again to the light. Your story is a Luciferian story. Why did you do it? Because you wanted to go beyond where God was. But if God created Lucifer, then Lucifer is a part of God. So God wanted this to happen. Because God's saying, I'm bored, I'm perfect, I'm whack. I need to be better. So let me create this guy named Lucifer who's going to be a deviation, who's going to make me better, who's going to soar higher than me. He's only helping me. If you don't feel comfortable being called Lucifer, then maybe you'll feel Darth Vader. How's that feel? Is that better? Same thing. Okay? Anakin. Alright? So, however you want to look at it, that's you. That's your story. So all of these different archetypes are you. Okay? And when you come to a realization, a cognition that you are these energies, this is when your rituals become effective. Before that, you're not really doing anything. So technically, you could brush your teeth. But if you don't visualize them actually being clean, you won't brush them right. You see children do this all the time. They come back, and what do you got to say? Show me. Smile. Let me see. And you'll see right on the corners, stuff dripping, and you can see the mites in their mouth. Oh, he never goes back here. We're cool back here. Because he doesn't visualize the cleanliness. He doesn't put himself into that character. So when you're doing a ritual, and even sacrifice to a degree, you're putting yourself into that cosmic character. And that's the only way it's actually truly effective. That's why religion is so scary. Because when you're practicing a religion, and especially if it's a messianic religion, you're separating yourself from the character. And you're saying, the character has done it all for me. And all I need to do is accept it. And the more I accept what's been done to me, the greater my chances of getting into heaven later. Even though they told me that God has no concept of time, because a blink of an eye is like 1,000 days. So if God has no concept of time, then how can heaven be later? I guess I'll figure that out later. Nothing says that heaven is right now. Hell is right now. And it all lies at my meridian. So that's why the animals come in. I'm coming back to what you were saying earlier. Because the animals are your lower animal nature. And there are times that you need to sacrifice or subdue certain aspects of your animal nature in order for God to come forth. There's certain times you need to sacrifice aspects of your God nature in order for the animal to come forth. We don't want God here all the time. God will screw things up. It's not supposed to be here all the time. If somebody came here with a gun right now, would you want me to be God or would you want me to be a Wolverine? Thank you. So there's times we have to suppress the God nature and get out of the clouds and realize that there's a physical awareness that we have to be aware of. That's the animal nature. We had that in the Nebhu, or the Nebharu, which we also call the Sphinx. It had the body of a panther and the head of a man. It represented the taming of the lower Nile, everything below the waistline, the belt, which was considered the lower Nile, and the taming of that for the upper Nile to come forth. Okay? Time? Okay. How much time? Okay. Wow. Okay. Any questions? And at any moment, if anybody wants to ask a question, just raise your hand. It's cool. Okay. See, a lot of times when I speak, sometimes I've found that people are embarrassed to ask questions in front of other people, so they wait till I'm done, and then they bombard me with their questions. Okay? But I'm not getting a ticket for any of you. All right? I'm at a meter. So, if you got a question, you better ask me. So anyway, with all love in my heart. Okay. I knew it. Right. Give me an example of an entity. Yemanya or Yemoja. Okay. How do I embody the energy of Yemoja? What does Yemoja mean to you? Okay. Compassion, nurturing, right? Nurturing is a word that we get from nature. Okay? Nature, nurturing the same way. Before there was nature, before there was nurture, there was netir or netaru. Okay? So if you're telling me you want to be more like Yemoja, then all you really need to do is get into nature. Done. Now we can do the ritual. It's not complicated. I'm telling you it's not complicated. If it was complicated, the parasites that be would not go through so much work to keep you from it, from this information. They would just put it in front of you and say, go ahead, you're not going to figure it out anyway. Once you get to the doorstep of it, now that's the hardest part of it. The hardest part of it is dealing with your family and, you know, being a weird person and, you know, wearing the sonic rings and having to explain that and things like that. That's the hardest part. Once you get there, everything else is simple because you're dealing with archetypes that are you. So everything you're already doing is Yemoja. Like right now, what I'm doing is Shango. What I'm doing is Yemoja. How did I simply become Yemoja? Because I said, does anyone have any questions? I cared enough to make sure that you understood what I was saying. I'm done for the day with Yemoja. I'm moving on to something else. Maybe Ogun, I get some rum when I go home. See? It's simple things. Of course it can get deeper, but we're going to keep it simple for now.
What was the presentation, right, for a ritual of Elegba?
Okay. Elegbara. Okay. The reason I'm correcting y'all when y'all are saying the words is for a reason. When you, those are Latin versions. Okay. They don't say they don't say Eshu. They say Echu, or they say Ilegua. They don't say Yemoja because they don't use J's. They're not in the J's. They're in the Y's. So they say Yemanya. Okay? The problem is when you mispronounce it, you lose some of the teaching you could have gotten right there on the spot. Eshu means to launch forth, to initiate. Ilegua doesn't mean that. Eshu also connects you with the Kemetic archetype Shu, which is the air. Okay? So now, as soon as we know that, we know, okay, if I want to work with Eshu, I can just start doing some air rituals. Whether it might be fire breaths, which are for him because he lives in the root chakra, you know, or it might just be giving an offering of incense to the air. Because the air is a form of crossroads. The gods are there, we're here. So this is the crossroads in between. Okay? Yemoja, the same thing. It's a breakdown of Yeye, Omo, Eja. Yeye means mother, Omo means child, Eja means fish. So you might say, man, how do I connect with this Yemoja energy? Well, he says the energy of compassion. Go to the Korean market, buy a live fish and release it in the water. You're free. You might be trading a life for a life. Look, I got a spot I'm in. You know, I got to go to court Monday. I didn't pay those tickets. So I will let you go. Let me go. You see? So, Eshu, going back to that. Okay, so Elegbara, where we get Elegua, or sometimes they say Elegba. Elegbara means a person of great strength and power. So we would normally say Eshu Elegbara, because Elegbara is an aspect of Eshu. Okay, so how some of the rituals that we would do with Eshu governs the science of segregation. Now we say he's the archetype of the crossroads, but you got to look at what does the crossroads mean. I have to segregate my path. Either I'm going to go here or I'm going to go here. But it's got to be a choice that I have to make. Eshu always wants you to go through the center of it anyway. Okay? He'll screw around with you, so go left. Yeah, go right. Neither one of those is ever the correct answer. And you'll feel it within your core. I knew I went the right direction. If anytime you're trapped into a polarity, you're going the wrong direction. It's always going in the middle of the circle. Okay? No man cometh unto the Father by me. I'm the truth, the way, and the life. So that's saying, I am the pathway to the heavens, not the left or right. The left or right is your human reality. It's the center. So simple Eshu ritual, put a cross on the ground, and put offerings in the middle of the cross. Okay, you can put now, okay, we're going to use components that, let's hypothetically, what would you want from Eshu?
Clarity to make a right decision.
Clarity to make a right decision, right? So I would probably start with a quartz crystal. Boom, I'm putting that in the middle of the cross. Now that's his crystal now, though. So you don't take that now and, I'm going to make a chain out of this. You recognize I gave this to you because I need clarity of decision. I would also probably give some water, clear water. I would probably maybe put some oils or herbs that I might even break an Epsom salt right there. Boom. You see, it's real simple. I'm telling you. You have to use what's called your imagination. Imagination. Jinn are entities, are archetypes that live inside of your first eye. When you use your imagination, you're pulling from their character and you're coming up with things. So if you're doing an archetype a ritual for clarity of mind, that's something that you can do. You can also put a book there. It might be some material that you're trying to understand. I would run off some copies and burn them. I'm going to send these to you. I'm going to send these to the ether. You break it down and give it back to me tonight when I dream. So then I would take that same quartz crystal, I would put it in a bowl with some water and put a red candle in it. And I would sleep with that night, going the whole night. Because that crystal is now charged with that ritual. Clarity of mind. Or if I can't burn a candle, maybe you live with family who doesn't want you doing all that scary voodoo stuff. I know how it is. So then you might take the crystal and put it under your bed. You sleep with it. See? In a simple way. Now when I give rituals, I try to give people things that they can actually do. As opposed to you need to go to this mountaintop. Only time I'll send someone on a voyage is if they have no faith. If they're skeptics. Skeptics, I always give them back-breaking things to do. Hey man, don't be a skeptic and everything will be alright. The reason I do that is because with each step that you do, you're saying, this better work because I'm going over here. He sent me all the way to here for this feather. I got to go over there for this herb. This better work. See, now it's already started working. Because you believe it's going to work because of all the steps you went through. And maybe all you really needed to do was just wash your head with some clear water. But if I would have did that, you wouldn't have believed it. And the value of this all is you. I'm not doing anything but passing off healing. You're actually doing the work. Why? Because you have to be the archetype that does the ritual. I can't do it for you. So I might wash your head with the water, but you're still you. You're still your boring human self. It's just water. I could have did this myself. Now I just wasted my bottle of water. Any other questions? 1, 2. Although I think he got you, bro. The buzzer. I think went off over there first.
Continue to charge them, or once you charge them, they're done forever being charged. Or do you recharge like the same crystal over and over to keep it?
Awesome question. He said, should we recharge the paraphernalia from our ritual, or is it charged forever? Nothing is ever charged forever because magic is temporary. Okay, you want to recharge it because we use power, what we call Ashe. Ashe is infinite, but we ain't got infinite Ashe. We pull it from different places. So yeah, you actually want to repeatedly charge things. This is why you have President's Day every year. This is why all the money in your pocket has people's faces on it. Because they're making sure that their ancestors get recharged every time you hand it over, and you place value to something that you know has no value. We figured that out by now. We know about the Federal Reserve. We know the whole conspiracy thing. So we know the dollar has no value, but we still use it and place value on it. I want some of that value here if anybody wants to buy anything. So the thing is, I'm joking, kind of. But the thing is, so that's a constant charging that's happening. Christmas and that whole shopping thing, the 3 days or 7 days, I don't know how it goes, but certain days before Christmas they do the shopping sprees because that's the winter solstice. So they're capitalizing on that energy. It keeps getting charged and you build it up, build it up, build it up. Now, what our challenge is, what we usually do after we do all that great charging, great ritual, we then take that energy and we do this. And we bring it back down into our temple. Mistake. Unless you're sick. Mistake. Your power is not here. This is a go-kart that's breaking down. You know? I've been sneezing, I got an allergy thing. This thing is all messed up. You know? It's up there. My doppelganger, or maybe here, however you want to picture it. Maybe under there. However you want to picture your doppelganger or your spiritual twin, that's where all the energy should go. Because that's the underlying context that's controlling this context. The trick of Satan, that's why Satan is so interesting. Satan is your brain. The trick of Satan is to make you think that the power is here. And after a while, you start believing it. You start wearing a lot of different medallions and things like that and saying, well, yeah, this crystal is good for this, and this is good for that, and that's good for that. Those are your crutches. And eventually, back to you again, you will learn how to generate your own chi, or your own ashe. And you won't be doing any of this junk. You'll be doing something real weird that doesn't even look human. All the ones that are like that, those are the ones with the real chi, because they've left humanity alone. They don't care what you think. Those are the Jimi Hendrix, or the James Browns, you know, the Michael Jacksons. You know what I mean? I don't care about, I'm just going to destroy this thing to show you how much of a complete clown my humanity is. But I'm a powerful force. Look at you. Yeah.
So how does Ifa and Santeria come into play, or like the connection there? Like I hear there's different implementations of the name.
Right. Okay. Here's the challenge. When you're dealing with Ifa and Santeria is the worship of the saints. Okay? Now, there's stories about how Ifa and Santeria commingle, and the stories go that when during the Ma'afa and Africans were enslaved, they were brought over here, and in order to continue their traditions, that they hid the Orisha, or their archetypes, in the forms of the Catholic saints. Okay? That's a complete lie. I know. You're going to research and you're going to find nothing. Everything that you're going to research is going to prove what I just said, which is the lie. But you won't read any slave narratives that talk about Santeria. So something's off here. Because we have actual slave narratives and none of them talk about anything about worshiping a saint and replacing it with any African deity. Does that mean it's no good? No, it works, okay? Because whatever you put your hand to, if you have the breath of God, you can make it work, okay? But Ifa is an emanation of Olodumare. Ifa and Orisha are not the same thing. Within Ifa, just like you have the Kabbalah, you have Chokma and Baina, you have this is the knowledge and wisdom of the Almighty, or the wisdom and the understanding. And then you have Da in the middle, which would be the knowledge. That rung or that plank of Sephiroth, that would be Ifa, or who we would call Orunmila. In Santeria, they call him Orunla. Okay, but its name is Orunmila. Okay, that's where that would lie at. Orunmila deals at those higher levels, and Orisha are not there. So what happened was Olodumare, which means the owner of the serpent moon, who is our highest defined archetype. Defined. It means it's not the highest. Because as soon as something is defined, that means it's already started its process of corruption. Okay? So our highest defined archetype is Olodumare. In Egypt, you call them Atumare, meaning the atomic beginnings. Mare means serpent. Okay? So the atomic beginnings of serpent DNA. So Olodumare is where the spiritual and the physical DNA begins and where it evolves. Okay? So Olodumare had three emanations of itself. Obatala, Orunmila, and Oduduwa. Obatala is omnipresence, Orunmila is omniscience, all-knowing, and Oduduwa is all-powerful, omnipotency. Okay, I got you. And then right under there, you have the Orisha. Orisha means selected consciousness. Ori means consciousness. You guys got all this now. Sha means to select or to seek. So who's selecting the consciousness? In effect, is Olodumare, trapped inside of you. You are the prison of God. You are the prison of Olodumare. And in order to break out of the prison, Olodumare uses different techniques. Those are called Orisha. And one of its stop-offs before it gets back home is Obatala, Orunmila, and Oduduwa. That's a stop-off before I get off of this hellhole. That's why Obatala is an archetype of purity. Why is Obatala so pure? Because he doesn't actually touch the earth. All of the other Orisha we can find here. This is Oko. This is Iroko. You know, I can find Orisha in everything that's here. Oshun. Everything that I can perceive with my physical eye will perceive an Orisha. The things that I cannot perceive with a physical eye, I'm looking at with this. That's Orunmila, my knowing. That's Obatala, my unified feel, my ability to astral travel and be at all places at all times. And that's Oduduwa, where my real power is, which is the womb of the universe. Oduduwa means the womb of the black woman. So that womb is where my power is. Notice, nothing I spoke about was on the planet just now.
When you talk about those three things, I can't get the names right yet, but
don't worry about it.
That also coincide with, say, for Christians, with the Trinity?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
In many traditions, you'll find that triad. Okay? Of course, in Christianity, we have God the Father, God the Son, and God the Mother. They shot the mother, they killed her, made her a ghost, the Holy Ghost. Okay? But originally, it was God the Father, which represents the thought of all the Almighty. God the Son represents the voice of the Almighty. God the Mother represents the active force of the Almighty. Okay? So, of course, we're talking about Asar, Aset, and Heru. Okay? And originally, it wasn't just Heru, it was twins. We understand that from the Kabbalah, Chokma and Bina, or Luke and Leah. The twins. Okay. Anyone? Darth Vader, I mean, Steven Spielberg, I mean, yeah, it's all in there. Oh, so then you know, yeah. Star Wars teaches you anything you need to know about life. Anything. Yeah, it's all in there. Look at from episode from beginning to end, everything's in there. You know, it's the Matrix. It's the Terminator will teach you. You know, I mean, there's so much there. The unicorn, the last unicorn, the never-ending story. These are all Orisha-inspired stories. You know, we're not that creative. You know, we're just not. You know, so it has to come from somewhere else. You know. Does anyone else have any questions? Batman? Oh, that's Osiris. Batman is also a form of Anpu, which we call the Lord of the Underworld. Okay, and back in our Kemetic structure, the underworld was called heaven or Duat. So here, like, you know, when we say the underworld, we think of hell. But traditionally, the underworld was heaven, which makes sense because when ancestors go, they go underneath. So the forms of like Batman and there's other lords of the underworld. Well, I just did a show on it recently. DMX, Teddy Pendergrass, Rick James. I mentioned a couple of people in that. You know, and these are Old Dirty Bastard. These are archetypes of the underworld. So Batman, what he's really mastering again is fear. Batman deals with fear. Now, why is fear related to the underworld? Because the underworld is synonymous with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind takes us back to the realm of Olokun, that Orisha. And why is it so scary? Because that's where all the sea creatures are. Why are they sea creatures? Because of the enormous amount of pressure that's underwater, right? Well, what is the pressure? The pressure is your repression of your issues. So when you press them down, I don't want to deal with that, I want to deal with that, what happens? What once was normal and able to be dealt with now is distorted and deformed and looks hideous. And you close your eyes to meditate and you start seeing monsters and you don't know where they come from. That's your junk that you haven't dealt with. That's the energy of Batman. And Wonder Woman is Nut. Okay, Wonder Woman is Nut. She's Nut with her first eye activated. That's what the red star represents here. Okay, Superman is Heru. Okay, his real name is Ka-El. Ka means spirit, El means God. His father's name is Jur-El. Jur is the father, or Jur is the father, El is God. So, father God, son God, Ka-El. On his chest, he has a snake, which represents Kundalini energy. That's why when you look at the old Superman, when he would get shot, he would do this. They would only shoot at his chest. And what the bullets represented was sperm. So what he was saying, I'm pulling forth the feminine energy of Kundalini to break free of patriarchy. Okay, which was what Heru did when he came, because Heru sustained Ma'at. Ma'at is a female archetype. Okay, and this was the whole undergarment of the structure of ancient Egypt. It was structured on the wings of Ma'at. Okay, some of you may know as She-Ra. Remember She-Ra and He-Man? She-Ra was, She-Ra was actually Heru. The sorceress was Ma'at from Castle Grayskull. What was Grayskull? The ancestors. So it's all in there. It's all there. Don't worry, I'm recording it, so I'll make sure you get a copy. I speak fast, so I start to ramp up when you ask. Don't ask questions about cartoons, I get excited. Yeah, ramp up. So yeah, everything has its origins. When you're looking at Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, what you're looking at is somebody's attempt to show you the powers that you have innate when you're activated. Okay, that's why with the old Wonder Woman, she would spin first. The spin represented the sun's movement, and you would see a bright light, and all of a sudden she's alchemicalized herself into this woman called Wonder Woman. Remember also she was the Amazon, her name was Diane, she represented the love goddess Diana. Okay, Oshun. Alright, Sage, I think. Oh, my name is Yuya, for those who don't know, I forgot. I also do a weekly radio show, or twice a week, 3 times, what is it? 2-3 times a week, something like that, I'm on the radio. I'm not real good with time and stuff like that, because I study so much of this stuff and I teach so much, I'm becoming less and less human as I'm getting older. So I'm getting real vulgar, and I'm also getting screwed up with time a lot. But that's what happens. The higher you go, the less you care about your humanity, which is the highest form of spiritual elevation, is when you're able to say, I don't care. I don't care. Okay, so I'm getting much closer to the I don't care part, so which is great. So, you know. All right, but thank you for listening. You know, sure, my honor. All right.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that small sample of the dialogue that occurred at this past Pagan Day Pride Festival. And as always, I was thankful to be there, to be a part of that dialogue. I'm only a part of it, you know, but I'm thankful and honored to be chosen to be a part of those sacred exchanges and those really healthy bonding experiences that occur when those who are in the order have an opportunity to come out and we can build together and share together and form these ciphers, these intellectual and soulful ciphers. It is very valuable. I'm thankful. So, of course, that has been our Foundational Friday segment for this strong, and I'm thankful for you all tuning in. Be sure to tune in this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern to Anu Asafo. Be sure to tune in to Anu Asafo, and of course this Monday will be Masterminds Monday. Okay? And until next time, I am Yuya Assaan-ANU.